Every single time I load up a Knights of the Old Republic 2 save, I have it at the perfect angle so it shows off the entire party, and then I load the save up and it always shows a really boring angle such as this. Hello people of the internet, this is Shaky Jake and I really need a catchphrase. You are watching Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 The Sith Lords with the restored content modification. Previously on KotOR 2 we left Peragus and explored the Harbinger, which was an abandoned Republic warship which had a whole bunch of Sith assassins that were invisible to us and tried to kill us whilst invisible. And they actually succeeded at one point because I made them just that little bit harder than normal. And because of that I had to replay a whole bunch of stuff off screen and it took a bit longer to get through the recording session, but that's besides the point. So as you can see, here is the containment field which separates us from where we were earlier in this Let's Play, and it basically says we can't get back there. But anyway, moving on. I believe this is going to be the final part on Peragus because we're actually very close to the end, and here I don't think you can actually do anything. Yeah, you can't really do anything here unless if you want to access the cameras. So we're going to move on. And we're going to hopefully finish off Peragus in this part. And despite how that sounds like it's going to be the end of Act 1, it isn't. There's quite a lengthy first act for this game, but I'll explain that when we get to the docking bay. And whilst we've been in this area before, I think some droids have respawned. Yes, here we go. So the droids that T3 killed a couple of parts ago have been replaced by new ones. Fortunately, we've got disabled droid just for this section, which is why I invested in it. And it can now attack multiple droids. Unfortunately, we're not doing quite as well as I'd hoped, but regardless, we are doing a significant amount of damage, so hopefully this will get rid of them. As you can see, now that we've got a pretty good party on our hands, I mean we haven't got Kreia at the moment, but we have got T3, and T3 is pretty good. So let's move on, and that's one thing I will talk about whilst I'm waiting for my force to regenerate, so I can heal myself up. As I was saying before we entered the docking bay, the way Knights of the Old Republic 2 and even the first Knights of the Old Republic game work, the way they both work is they have at least 3 acts each. And in Knights of the Old Republic 2's case, you'd think Act 1 would just be Peragus the Harbinger and Peragus again. It isn't. The first act of Knights of the Old Republic 2 is incredibly lengthy, and it's one of the few criticisms I have about this game because the narrative just takes forever for the first act of the game. And I get that Obsidian wanted to make this involving grand storyline and set up the Star Wars universe as this incredibly dark place compared to how it's normally portrayed, but they kind of go a bit overboard with it in some cases. And I'm just liking the fact I can see these nicely rendered asteroids because of a mod I downloaded. They look so much nicer than they normally do in the vanilla game. And here's the Ebon Hawk as well, still the same as it was when we last saw it. I was actually going to download a mod to make it higher resolution texture-wise, but I just haven't been bothered to do that yet. I will remedy that in the future because we're not going to see the Ebon Hawk much after this part for various reasons. But yeah, so Act 1 of Knights of the Old Republic 2 is way longer than you think it's going to be. I will tell you when Act 1 ends, or what I think Act 1 is going to be, but it doesn't end for absolutely ages. And we have a cutscene now.
This door's magnetically sealed. I can't believe this. The ship's right out there and we can't get to it.
Atton's panicking because we can't get through, but fortunately we do have the tools to actually open that door now. Whoa. Slow down and repeat that.
Huh? What is that piece of junk saying?
Now, depending on what line of dialogue you say here, I believe you can actually either gain or lose influence with T3M4. If you treat him with respect, then he'll like you. If you just call him the droid, he takes offence to it. So we're going to be nice to him. He said he can open the door to the hangar. He just needs to access the hangar terminal up on the platform. A little bit redundant, saying hangar twice in the same sentence, but okay.
How can you even understand that noise?
Gameplay logic. I served with a lot of utility droids in the, well, many years ago.
Alright, well, if he can slice the door open from the terminal above, don't let me stop him.
Okay, we didn't get influence from T3. Maybe it's just a negative influence loss if you call him the droid. And that was the other thing I forgot to talk about as well. The influence mechanic. So I am going to switch to T3M4 for this, because it would make sense to. Because he probably has the best repair skill, most likely. So you could, in theory, have your character watch all the camera logs, but seeing as we've already done that with T3, we're not going to do it. But realistically, your character would want to watch them all. So we want to replace the hangar control power conduit to open the door, and there we go. Your character can do this as well. I just like to give the responsibility to T3. And there we go. We've got some experience points, and we're done. We can now get to the Ebon Hall with little to no problems whatsoever. I am going to put some shields on because there are going to be a couple of battles ahead. And I'm also going to boost myself up a bit. Oh yeah, and if we didn't find 3CFD earlier, here he is. Yep, he still suffered irreparable damage. It's a shame we're going to leave him here, but you know, we could have given him a nice burial or something, but whatever. Or at least recycled him. So I'm going to just boost myself up and then hope for the best. Because this can actually be quite a difficult fight if you're not careful. Because the issue is, this door actually automatically opens quite often. Or at least it has done in the past when I've played this. Oh, we're being set on fire quite a lot. That's not very good. And there you go, the door's automatically open for some reason. Maybe the droids heard us or whatever. I don't actually know. We're not actually doing too bad at the moment though, so that's good. I know I'm supposed to be a gunslinger, but again, I kind of switch back and forth early game, and then I'll respec myself to be gunslinger when the opportunity arises, because you don't really have great weapons at the beginning of the game. And as you can see, my character is now deflecting blaster fire with his hand every so often, because we invested in that power, which is going to be incredibly useful throughout the entire game, particularly with the build I'm planning to use, because I'm never going to give my character a lightsaber. Hint, hint. Assuming I, stay true to my word and I don't give him a lightsaber. And that was the other thing as well about this game that really irritated me when I first played it. And it's still irritating to this day to an extent. Obsidian make you wait to get your first lightsaber for an absolutely long time. And whilst I understand it, it's still a bad decision from a creative and gameplay perspective, because yeah, you've got the Force, but at the same time you kind of want a lightsaber to make it a bit more interesting. So, who's got the best demolitions? I believe it's me. Oh no, it's T3 now, okay. T3's got the best demolitions. Gameplay's still on difficult, so I can see a couple of droids down here, so I am going to turn solo mode on, because the AI has this habit of running into mines to fight enemies when you see them. So I'm going to have Atton and my character hang back, and I'm going to see if T3 can recover these. Skill too low, okay, what about if we put it to normal? There we go. So, as you can see, T3 disables and recovers mines really quickly compared to human characters, so that's why I want to spec him as a demolitions kind of person. Are you going to see me? Because it looks like you probably will. Because droids can't get stealth. No, don't. Oh, good. I thought you were going to go into the mine then. We don't want that. We'll just shock arm you a couple of times, and that should be all good to go. There we go. Okay, that's what I mean. When the AI takes over, that happens. It might have looked like I controlled it, but T3 just ran into that mine, so well done. That's precisely what I didn't want to happen. You have to be very careful with the way the AI functions in this game. It has a mind of its own occasionally. There's quite a lot of droids around here. I'm going to turn solo mode off so my characters will actually come and help. Especially because T3 is probably the most fragile right now. Or maybe that's Atton. Atton's quite fragile at the moment, so who knows. And they're just chilling at the moment. Come on. You've got an enemy to fight. Stop just walking around. Okay, hopefully disabled. You tried to make T3 unconscious, you harsh person. So we've got some remains. Let's pick those up. Droid null pacifier. What does that actually do? We've got the flamethrower, which is pretty cool, I guess. Stun. Right. We can ignore that for now.
I hear you.
Turn solo mode back on. And let's recover some mines. Once I've done this, I can put the difficulty back to difficult. But yeah, I was going to talk about the influence mechanic because I didn't really fully elaborate on it last time. It's one thing that Obsidian did to improve the gameplay for the sequel, and in some ways the replayability as well. And what Obsidian did with the influence mechanic was it allowed you to play the game in a variety of different ways with regards to how you treated characters, how you altered the gameplay and various other things. It's not a 100% successfully implemented mechanic, but when it works it's really good. But it is very easy to abuse, and I've still got solo mode on, haven't I? Let's turn that off. So as an example, I'll just show you this now. We're all on the same alignment, so we're all pretty much dead neutral. Dead central neutral. If I was playing this a little bit more, you know, light-sided or dark-sided, we'd have at least something along here by now, or something along here. And what that does is, depending on how you gain influence with characters, you know, let's say Atton, for example, if I've gained influence with him, and my character's light-sided here, then Atton will also go up light-sided. If I were to lose influence with Atton whilst I was light-sided, he would slowly go more dark-sided, and then vice versa. If I was a dark-sided character losing influence with Atton, he would go more light-sided. Same goes for T3, and it doesn't really make sense with a droid because you think they would always, you know, stay at the alignment they're at. So, you know, you can make T3 either light-sided or dark-sided in this game, which is quite amusing in some ways. It's even more amusing with another droid character you can pick up. So for those of you that have played the first game, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. The only character who you can get influence with or lose influence with who isn't affected alignment-wise is Kreia, and there's reasons for that. But she's the only one who doesn't get affected. But at the moment we're all neutral, so I can't really demonstrate it very well at the moment, unfortunately. But that was something I really didn't elaborate on last time, and I do apologise for that because it is important to this game. So, computer use. I need to see... Oh, and I need to put the difficult... Oh, no, it is back up. Fine. I forgot I'd already done that. So, who's got the best computer use? T3. Okay, you're obviously my best bet. Now, I think the way I used to do this when I first played it was I think I destroyed this console, or I opened the door and just ran through. In theory, I could do that because I actually have a breath mask on, which makes me immune to poison. Doesn't particularly help Atton, though. Although, actually, that's a point. How many antidote kits do I actually have on me? Just the one. Yeah, for Atton's sake, I am actually going to do this properly. So we can repair it, and then we could open the chamber, but that'd be pretty stupid of us to do so. So it costs us 5 spikes to shut it down. Let's do it. We can always ask T3 to build us some later on. And there we go, we can open it up. And there we go. Not sure how long this part's actually going to be. It's probably going to be a lot of talking again, because whilst we had some pretty good gameplay stuff here, and we're going to get some more gameplay in a few minutes, it's going to become very talkative again, because that's this game's sort of style. There's a lot of talking in this game, particularly compared to the first one. And if there's one thing about Obsidian games that I know is that they love to talk. And I need an energy shield because I've run out. We've got 18 of them. I don't recall ever having that many energy shields normally. Is that? I don't actually know if that's normally a thing. I feel like I've been given a lot of... Okay, defense bonus for Atton would actually be useful, so let's do that. I feel like the game's been very generous giving me stuff. So here we are at the Ebon Hawk, and here are the nice asteroids that we saw earlier, all nicely rendered, floating past. A little bit dodgy how many asteroids are actually floating by, to be honest, but whatever. So we are going to explore this area because there are a couple of hidden items we can get. Nothing too special and nothing that's fixed in terms of loot, but it's just extra stuff that we could either use or sell. Or just use in this case. Combat implant, what's that like? Okay, immunity to critical hits and awareness +1. I'm not too interested in that, to be honest, although if we've got a party member with enough constitution it might be worth it. And here we go. I thought there were more enemies around here, but maybe not. There's a lot of credits. How many credits do we have? 3,135. That's a lot of credits for this stage of the game. I can't remember what the average credits I normally have by this stage when I normally play. I didn't think I normally had 3,000 odd, but who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've always had around 3,000 or at least 1,000. I can't really remember. So there's a random droid here for some reason, but that's fine because we're going to kill it anyway for the experience. And we've leveled up. I am actually going to save that for a moment just in case because of the next bit, which we could potentially abuse if we wanted more experience points. Around this part of the game, when I used to play it, when it first came out, it used to be a little bit buggy around this particular stage on the basis that certain dialogue would get skipped. So when you re-encounter T3 in the pipe bit, his dialogue used to skip, and Atton's dialogue used to skip when he was trying to open the door to the hangar. It was very weird. Thankfully, the restored content mod has fixed those skipping issues for the most part. But it is a quirk of the Odyssey engine. I think it's the Odyssey engine that Knights of the Old Republic runs on. If you play for too long or you do too many saves or you reload so many times, the dialogue just eventually skips for everybody anyway. It's a very bizarre bug and it's a bit of a quirk of this engine, but it happens. We're going to board the Ebon Hawk now, and I think what I'm going to do is I am going to make a save just in case, because I don't want a repeat incident of last time. Right, we're going to board the Ebon Hawk now, and we're going to leave Peragus presumably forever. So this is the loading ramp to the Ebon Hawk. Once aboard, you'll be leaving the mining facility for good. I think most people who play this game would probably be going, yes! At that point because of how much they hate Peragus, but I don't mind Peragus. There are worse areas in the game, at least for me personally. So we could step away from the loading ramp, but we're not going to do that. We're going to enter the Ebon Hawk. And I do like how much quieter it is to actually, at least for now, board the Ebon Hawk compared to how we did it in the first game. So let's go.
Quick! We're gonna need some time to fire up the engines. Let's give the laser turret a workout.
Okay, so this instance here we have an actual unique element of gameplay here, which is we get to have an actual turret shootout, a bit like in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope with the Millennium Falcon, and it's actually quite a unique gameplay experience for this game. And the sound kind of glitched up a little bit there, which is a bit annoying, and I've also had to see this at least 2 or 3 times now because I had a Windows notification pop up during the cutscene and that irritated me, so I've had to reload the game, and now the one cutscene that shows up before this is no longer playing, so I'm going to have to, watch that separately and edit it back in. Now I am playing this properly for one specific reason, Because what you could do is you could let all of these Sith soldiers, who, it makes no sense why they're here, by the way. They appeared nowhere on Peragus, so I don't know why they're showing up now. What you should do, or what
All right, let's get out of here.
Okay, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Kreia, your hand. What happened? Even though we kind of know already. But good thing you arrived now, or we would have left you.
I have no intention of being left behind. Now, let us leave.
If they hit us, we're dead. But if they keep missing us, we're dead. It's great odds. Somebody shut that trash compactor up.
Look, can you fly this thing or not?
I'm doing all I can, and that's not enough. What'd you do to make these guys so mad? Well, either they hit us and destroy us, or they hit an asteroid and make the whole field go nova.
Can we jump to hyperspace?
Not with all these asteroids around us. We'd enter hyperspace in pieces. We have to clear that field first. Thing is, we clear the field and they're gonna have a clear shot at us.
Just do your best to keep your distance. We'll get out of this yet.
What are the asteroids? They can be destroyed by us as well as them, can they not?
That'll take out the whole field, the colony, and maybe us. We might not even be able to jump to hyperspace in time.
Then we die here. Choose now.
I love how we can say that someone might still be alive in the facility when it was pretty obvious that everyone's dead, apart from us. This is the first major choice of the game. You can either, regardless of what you do, nothing really changes. It just depends on whether you personally are responsible for what you're about to do, or whether you manage to avoid resisting the temptation. One of these is considered a light-sided option. The other one is considered a bit more dark-sided. For the sake of the character that I'm going with, whilst I'm not the nicest person ever in this game, I am going to try and avoid any loss of life when possible. So there's got to be another way. Keep evading them until we clear the field, and we'll try to jump to hyperspace.
Hold on! This is gonna get a little rocky. Well, now that we just killed a planet, maybe one of you can tell me what's going on. Because between assassin droids, a Sith Lord that looks like he sleeps with vibroblades, and being target practice for a Republic warship, I was better off in my cell.
The Republic warship was the Harbinger. It was seized on its way to Telos by the Sith. They sought you, Jedi.
Okay, first of all, Atton, you wouldn't have been better off in your cell, because if you were still in your cell, you'd have been burnt to a crisp. And the other thing, with regards to what you said with... What were you actually saying? You know, you said about being better off in your cell, but there was something else you said very beginning. I think I lost concentration around that point. I'll probably remember it in a few minutes. Oh yeah, that was it. We didn't destroy Peragus. Not in this universe, anyway. The Harbinger destroyed it, but, you know, he says that regardless. The Harbinger is on its way to Telos?
Yes, to aid in the recovery effort there. Many roads lead to Telos, including ours.
Not like we have much of a choice, the Peragus astrogation charts being what they are.
It is where we must go, and where the Harbinger was bound before our unfortunate encounter on Peragus.
How did you know I was on board the Harbinger?
You were difficult to find, but coincidence was on our side. When I learned that you were on the vessel, I knew the Sith would not be far behind. When we
I'll always love
the
that line
Harbinger,
because there are at
it was
least
crippled
3
drifting
rhymes
in
there.
space. It was a simple matter to board the vessel and rescue you. Unknown to me, however, the Sith were already on
Or
board.
2 rhymes,
Just
whatever.
as we made the jump to hyperspace, they fired upon us, nearly destroying the Ebon Hawk.
I just, as I was saying, I always loved the whole you were difficult to find, but coincidence was on our side. Luckily, the Sith were not so far behind. It makes Kreia almost sound like a little bit of a rapper or poet or something. It's just nobody really talks about how there's so many unintentional rhymes in that one statement, but whatever. That's an unusual set of coincidences.
True. But as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare.
How come I don't remember any of this?
Whatever occurred on board the Harbinger had rendered you unconscious. Though your thoughts were faint, I was still able to find you sealed in one of the cargo holds.
How did we get to Peragus?
I do not know how the Ebon Hawk was able to make it to
Of course we actually know, because T3's responsible, because of the prologue.
Be silent. We're having a conversation here.
And yeah, Kreia doesn't like droids, which is pretty obvious for the most part. Again, depending on what you say here, you can either gain influence potentially, or you lose influence. If you say dialogue option number 3, you'll definitely lose influence. 2 probably as well. He says he repaired the ship and got us to Peragus.
Repaired this ship, my eye. Next thing you know, it's going to claim credit for saving our skins. If that little noisemaker says it repaired the ship once, then it can prove it by doing it again. Go on, get!
So why are these Sith looking for me?
Because you are the last of the Jedi. Once you are dead, then they have won.
Well, it's not strictly true. There are still Jedi around in terms of, actual Jedi. The next time someone calls me a Jedi, they'll be lying in a pool of their own blood.
The Sith will dare to accuse you of such. They believe you to be a Jedi Knight, and that is all that matters.
Yeah, I feel good being able to say some anti-Jedi dialogue again. But last of the Jedi, that can't be true.
The Jedi Civil War destroyed the Jedi. By the war's end, barely 100 Jedi remained. Many fell in battle, and many more were seduced by Revan's teachings.
What about the Jedi on Dantooine and Coruscant?
The Jedi Academy on Dantooine is nothing more than a crater that echoes with the ghosts of dead Jedi. And the Jedi Temple on Coruscant lies empty. The waters in the Room of 1,000 Fountains have fallen still, in reverence to the fallen Jedi, and those now lost. Many Jedi blamed the teachings of the Jedi Masters for Revan's fall, and the civil war that followed.
Then the Jedi are dead, gone, and good riddance.
Perhaps, but they are Jedi no longer. If the Sith have not already slain them, then they will not help you, nor can you help them.
Then how do we stop the Sith?
That is not an easy question to answer. This threat is greater than you know, and I do not believe it is a battle that can be fought.
They're eager to fight us. I say we fight back.
Look, enough with the we already.
We cannot hope to triumph against them alone. To stop them you will need weapons, allies, and a teacher. In the end, I fear it may not be enough.
Okay, I always loved how Atton, whatever you say there, Atton always says, look, enough with the we already, and then Kreia just says we as her first word straight afterwards. I think that's just unintentionally funny, but moving on. I will not run from the Sith, or anyone.
You fought in the Mandalorian Wars, and it cost you everything. Are you willing to sacrifice as much again?
A couple of good dialogue options here, actually. And again, as I've said previously, Obsidian really write dialogue well. And compared to the first Knights of the Old Republic game, the dialogue choices are much more interesting this time around. Because all of them I really want to pick. This is self-defense, not war. And the Mandalorian Wars were my choice in the first place.
You are not listening to me. This is not like any field of battle you have ever fought in. Think carefully on your choice. If you choose to fight, if you choose war, it is a path few turn from once the first steps are taken. It carries with it a terrible price. And in the end, you may find you have nothing left to sacrifice.
If evil is not fought, then we sacrifice the galaxy.
Your fool's words echo of a Jedi. You have much to learn, but we have spoken long enough, and my wound pains me. If you have other questions, find me in the crew quarters. There we will speak more.
Hey, don't stop your long, boring rants on my account. I was just getting sleepy-eyed.
Also in private, we will be mercifully free from the opinions of imbeciles and fools.
Look, not like I care or anything, but you might want to go check on our passenger, especially with that hand of hers.
She seemed well enough for someone who had just lost her hand.
I think she was barely keeping it together. I'm surprised she's able to stand with all that pain rolling off of her.
She didn't seem in pain to me.
Are you blind? If I were her, I'd be screaming like a stuck Minoc. Well, I mean a very strong, manly Minoc. I think she's just too proud to show any weakness. Especially in front of you.
That's a poor assumption to be making.
In case you hadn't noticed, she won't say 2 words to me, but she'll talk your ear off any chance she gets. What you think matters to her. A lot. She wants you to respect her. Besides, we haven't got much else to do until Telos.
When did you get sensitive?
Oh, don't give me that. All it takes is being around people enough to read them. You should try it sometime.
Interesting choice of words there, Atton. If it'll shut you up, then I'll go and check on her. And you're right, she may be in pain. I'll see if I can go and help. And there we go, we get freedom back. And oh wow, look at this. We get a whole bunch of experience points, we get light side points and dark side points, and we have a net dark side shift. But we're still pretty neutral despite that. And yeah, we got a red glow. Interesting. So we're on the Ebon Hawk for the first time in the game since the prologue. And this time, the first time that we're actually conscious. Because the last time we were on the Ebon Hawk, we were T3. So I'm just going to see if Atton has anything else to say before I go and see Kreia. And no, Atton doesn't have anything to say. Now, one thing I do like about this game, if the sound's just disappeared for some reason. Hold on. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Didn't have to reload or anything. I just paused and then unpaused and it came back. One thing I like about Knights of the Old Republic 2 in comparison to the first game is you feel like you get a lot of downtime in the Ebon Hawk. It actually feels a lot more like a home. So at the moment we're just going through hyperspace and just travelling through space, and we're in a kind of Doctor Who style time vortex right now. And I quite like it. There's a couple of instances in the game where this happens, and I'm glad that Obsidian did this because it really makes it feel a bit more, well, down to earth, even though it's not the greatest use of the phrase I've ever used, but it does make it feel a bit more real and organic. So we're exploring the Ebon Hawk. As you can see, the map is uncovered, and that's pretty much it. In here we've got HK47 from the first game, who is damaged. Now, we can fix him, but you have to defeat a number of those HK droids. Spoiler alert, they do crop up a number of times. So we can diagnose the droid. T3 makes a noise because he knows who this is. So let's repair him and step away. I don't think we have anything else. No, we don't. If we check our journal, we've got a bonus mission to rebuild HK47, who was a party member in the first game, and he's shown up again for the sequel. When I first played Knights of the Old Republic 2, I never actually fixed HK47. I can't remember the reason why I never fixed him, but I just didn't. I didn't have enough parts from what I remember. And also, if you try and leave the Ebon Hawk whilst it's in space, you get told you may not leave the Ebon Hawk while in transit. Imagine if that was a gameplay option where you could just fly out the Ebon Hawk and die. That would have been interesting. So I'm just exploring the Ebon Hawk to try and uncover as much of the map as possible. Here I suppose we can use the workbench and see if we can do anything. Still can't upgrade the miner uniform, but we're not going to use it for much longer. And I think I'm going to switch this to massive criticals because that will be useful for later on. There aren't any droid enemies for a while now. That can stay the same. And I'm just going to see if I can actually break down anything. Ah, I can. So we can get components from breaking down stuff. Now I did talk about this in a previous part, and I never actually used the workbench or the lab station to break down any items or craft anything. I played this game for well over a decade and I never bothered to do it, which is a bit bad of me considering how long I've played this game. But you can actually just play through the entire game and never do this whatsoever. It's a relatively easy game in that sense. So we can break down data pads for components, which might actually be worthwhile, to be honest, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Right, I got interrupted mid-flow there, so I do apologise, and it probably won't be obvious to you by the time I've edited it if I've done my job correctly, but moving on. So there's a couple of things I could break down here that won't be that useful. but I'm just trying to debate if it's worth breaking stuff. Now, we might as well do the broken items, because let's be honest, we can get some components out of that. And we don't want them taking up space in our inventory. Or inventory. I can never remember how you're supposed to pronounce that. I used to be good at pronouncing it when I was a kid. For some reason now I can't do it. Once we get better weapons, I will break down or sell these, because they're not that good. Same with all of these weapons, to be honest. I am going to break down this, because I don't really need it. And there we go, I think that's fine for now. So yeah, I'm exploring the Ebon Hawk because I can. And you could talk to T3, which I recommend you do, because of various things that will take place in this game. But I'm not going to do that just yet, because Atton told us to see Kreia, therefore I will actually go and see Kreia first. I do normally talk to T3 first when I'm not recording this, but for the sake of realism I will talk to Kreia once I've finished messing around here. Again, all these items are pretty useful, so I'm going to keep those for now. I don't actually know where T3's gone. He usually has a cycle route of where he actually goes, and he usually sticks to the same kind of area, so he might have actually just ended up going back towards the cockpit. But moving on, Kreia resides in here, and that's the other thing as well. Atton and Kreia have their set places in the Ebon Hawk, a bit like party members in the first game. Atton's always in the cockpit and Kreia's always in this dormitory, which never gets used in Knights of the Old Republic 1, apart from the one cutscene reactivated where Revan and Bastila got it on, you know, in a safe kind of way. So, Kreia, how are you doing?
Have you come for more answers? There is little more left to give.
And I know I'm supposed to level up. I'll do that once I've finished here. Your hand. Is there anything I can do?
This wound is a physical thing and will fade with time. It was necessary. Some things may only be learned from sacrifice.
If I could, I would have protected you.
Save your pity. I am here to save you, not the other way around.
Looks to me like you're the one who needs help.
I do not need your condescension nor your lectures. If anyone needs training and guidance, it is you.
When your hand was cut off, I also felt the pain. So, the pain I felt when you lost your hand, what if it had been more intense? This doesn't make sense without saying that first line, but moving on.
I do not know. I fear that the consequences would have been more extreme.
Like what consequences? Death?
Possibly, yes, and I fear it works both ways. I would not wish to test it, nor should you.
I love options 4 and 5. Oh, both of those are great. This link is a threat to me, and an inconvenience. We need to sever it, now.
If you think a connection to one such as yourself gives me any comfort, then you would be wrong. I desire this no more than you do. It seems that at times of stress and pain, if they catch us unawares, then the pain is transmitted between us.
It's interesting, because you think that if you fainted in the middle of battle, or if Kreia fainted in the middle of battle, it would affect both characters, but Obsidian weren't that harsh, in hindsight. I've never heard of a link like this before, in holocrons or in the Jedi histories.
I confess its nature eludes me as well, but the bond is strong, and its roots run deep. It seems the Force flows easily between us. When one of us manipulates the Force to heal or strengthen ourselves, the other is aided as well.
And then the game explains that we possess a unique ability. And then this is, you know what I said in the last part, where I basically said that if you use any buff powers, it affects the other character. So if I use Burst of Speed, Kreia also gets it. Or if Kreia uses Force Aura, then I also use it, providing we have the same powers. The game's basically confirming it for us here.
A powerful technique indeed, though, as we have noticed, it has its drawbacks.
So what do we do now?
I do not know. The Sith struck more swiftly than I thought, and they will not stop until they have you in their grasp. If you fall, all the galaxy will echo it.
But there must be some place we can go.
It does not matter where we go. It is not the destination that matters. It is the journey. All paths will take us to the end, whatever it may be, and no matter how strongly we fight against it. For now, we are bound for Telos, and that is enough.
And for those of you who remember the first Knights of the Old Republic game, Telos is the home world of Carthonasi. I love how you can ask where are we bound again as if we weren't paying attention. Enough for what?
Before the war, Jedi who failed their training were sent to the fields of Telos to serve the galaxy, not as Jedi Knights but as farmers and laborers. The destruction of Telos was complete. I doubt any Jedi remain. Yet there may be echoes of their passing. We shall see.
That plan seems weak.
Then I am left with nothing more than we had already. My faith in you and your ability to meet what comes.
There were other questions I wish to ask you now that we're away from Peragus.
Ask, and I will answer.
Except you won't if we don't have enough influence, so that's a bit of a lie. I need to know more about the Sith hunting us.
These Sith, they seek the death of all Jedi, as have all the Sith, since the Jedi Order was first split.
First split?
Yes, the Jedi Civil War is not the first one of its kind. Thousands of years ago, the Jedi had another civil war that split the Order. It was a terrible thing. A faction among the Jedi abandoned the teachings of the Order, following their own path. They waged war on their fellow Jedi, a war that raged across the galaxy. But these fallen Jedi were cast out, defeated, and they retreated to worlds in the Outer Rim. Over time, they took on the mantle of the Lords of the Sith, but in their hearts they never forgot the Jedi. The hatred for the Jedi Order burns in their veins like fire and echoes in their teachings. Revan tasted it, as Malak did.
So these Sith continue the crusade?
In a manner of speaking. They are different from Malak in that they are concerned only with the destruction of the Jedi. For them, it is all that matters, all that ever mattered. It is a different war these Sith wage, a thing of silence and shadow. They strike from the darkness, hiding from the face of the galaxy until all Jedi are exterminated. After all the Jedi are gone, then the galaxy is theirs, no matter whether the Sith or the Republic rules. It is the dark side that shall reign, unchecked.
I've never seen Sith assassins like those on the Harbinger.
I believe them to be the result of special teachings. Their apparent weakness against you is evidence of this. Those Sith assassins can sense their prey through the Force. It is like a hunger. They feed and grow stronger when they are near Force sensitives. The stronger their prey is in the Force, the deadlier they become. As long as you were cut off from it, you were able to evade their sight. But after Peragus, I fear that you will be no longer shielded from their eyes, or the eyes of their masters. The stronger you grow, the more will come.
I have more questions.
Ask, and I will answer.
When we were on Peragus, I could feel the Force again.
Indeed. And was it the same as before?
No. It felt different. Faint. It was like a whisper at the edge of hearing.
If my suspicions are correct, perhaps the damage the Jedi Council did was not as permanent as they thought. It is not an easy thing to cut one off from the Force.
Wait, the Jedi did this to me?
What did you believe? That you suddenly lost your connection with the Force without reason?
But to cut one off from the Force, it's like losing all of your senses at once.
Indeed it is. It is much like losing one's ability to listen, or being put into a deep sleep, unable to awaken to the galaxy around you. Such a thing has been done before, when Jedi have pronounced sentence on their own, and exiled them as they did you.
If the Jedi were not already gone and dead, I would end their lives for doing this to me.
It is possible that such a thing can be undone. Still, even so, the chances of the Jedi undoing such a thing for a traitor is a slim thing at best, assuming they yet live.
But the Force, I can feel it again, if only slightly.
Our link may have had other consequences. Perhaps you can hear the Force again, distantly, through me. If so, then there is hope. I may be able to teach you, train you to feel the Force again, and if you will not allow me to help you, then other Jedi must train you, or undo the damage they have done.
You? Train me? You can barely stand.
I fear there may be no other choice. The threat we face is grave. If you cannot defend yourself, then we have already lost. I offer to train you to become strong again, to know the ways of the Force, and to hear the Force sing within you as it once did.
If your training brings me power, then I will listen.
Then our training shall begin. Whenever I travel with you, I shall impart what I can to you through my words and presence.
This is a lot to take in at once. I need time to reflect on this.
I would see to that fool in the cockpit and remind him of our destination. I would not want him attempting to veer from Telos.
Atton isn't so bad, just... well, maybe he is.
He is a fool and an imbecile. His potential lies downwards, not up. Watch that one. His thoughts are slippery. I do not trust him, and nor should you. Such a man serves himself first and his allies next.
That's a little bit rich coming from you, Kreia. For various reasons we shall see later. And again, we've had the light side and dark side points and a net dark side shift. And we also gained and lost influence with Kreia. I think we lost influence because we basically said that she could barely stand up, which, to be fair, you would annoy somebody by saying that. But we gained the influence because we said we want the promise of power. So, as you can see, this is a good opportunity for my character to basically indulge in his unlikable personality at times. And again, we are somewhat heading downwards by the looks of it, but that's fine. And I'm sure there's more I could talk to Kreia about, but I want to save that for the next part because I do want to talk to other characters. T3. So we can tell T3 to stop moving around, but we're not going to do that. You look like you've suffered a lot of damage over the years. How much damage? And yeah, I'm the only character who actually treats T3 with respect at the moment, because Atton and Kreia don't particularly like him. So you lost a lot of programs in your behaviour core, in addition to the damage to your frame. And again, you can lose influence if you say option number 2, but we're going to say option number 1, even though it's a little bit out of character, but I'm just going to rationalise it as my character, whilst he's a bit of a dick, he doesn't actually mind droids too much. I'm sure you'll gain that skill back. I'm glad to have you along. Mainly because you don't judge me in the way that Atton and Kreia do. Although that's a lie, because you do actually judge me. We can upgrade his computer and repair, but I'm going to leave it for a moment. So I have other questions for you. Do you know where that HK droid in the cargo bay came from? And again, we don't have enough influence there for now. And that didn't sound very convincing. Are you sure you don't know? Never mind, I'll be going now. And again, we gained some influence with T3, so who knows, we could probably talk to him again and just see if he would actually tell us about HK, but probably not. And that was one thing, again, because I always get distracted whenever I record these parts, and when it comes to when you board the Ebon Hawk, you have that little fight with the turret where you shoot a whole bunch of Sith soldiers, which again doesn't make sense because it's the first and only time you ever see Sith soldiers on Peragus. If you wanted more experience, you can actually not shoot any of them whatsoever and let all 20-something soldiers arrive on the ship. I think it's about 25 or 26 Sith soldiers. And they're spread out across the Ebon Hawk, and you and Atton and T3 can go around and kill them. And that actually gets you more experience points, because when you shoot them with the turret, you don't actually get any experience points whatsoever for whatever reason. So I need to level up, because I haven't done that for a while. So, attributes... I'm going to actually go with Constitution, because I know I do want to focus on Dexterity eventually, but we got 14 and everything now apart from Strength, which is a little bit of a problem, but we don't have to worry about that for now. I'm going to upgrade... I'm going to start upgrading a mix of different things. So I do want Persuade up, and I also want to get Treat Injury up to 10 as well. I will start eventually focusing on repair and computer use as well, for T3's sake, but we can always worry about that another time. I'm going to go with Affect Mind, because I do actually need that very soon. And there we go, we've leveled up, and we've got another 1,000 points to go until we level up again. So let's go and talk to Atton, and the music keeps dropping out for some reason, which is a little bit irritating. If I pause and unpause, it will come back. Or it will just do it before I even had a chance to. Hello, Atton.
How's our passenger? She's still aging?
For someone without much to say, she sure says a lot. Try and say that really fast.
Yeah, to you, maybe. I don't usually hear much beyond fool and imbecile. She's lucky she's a Jedi, or someone would have killed her years ago. I mean, how old do you think she is? She may have been good-looking once, but it takes some hard living to make creases like that.
Good looking? Are you that desperate?
Hey, I just got out of prison. If we had a decent navicomputer, trust me, we'd be dropping out of hyperspace into the Nar Shaddaa Red Sector right now.
After spacing that old witch, of course.
Look, ease off the insults. She was wounded helping us escape, remember?
Whoa, all right, don't get mad at me. Hey, I didn't ask her to stay behind and get her hand cut off, okay? I mean, I appreciate what she did and all, but she could stand to lay off the insults herself, you know?
Oh, I completely agree, but getting empathy from you is like squeezing water from a stone.
Yeah? Well, how much water you get from a stone depends what planet you're on.
Obsidian really liked their metaphorical bits of dialogue, to be honest. Are we still on course for Telos?
Like we have a choice? It's the only place Peragus had logged in their astrogation charts.
Well, if you thought Peragus was dead, then Telos is a dying world they're trying to breathe back to life.
Should be there before too long. You can check our course on the galaxy map if you want. It's on the wall behind you.
Never mind. I wanted to ask you some questions.
Oh, no. Look, I respect your privacy. I mean, when have I ever asked you any questions? I mean, besides that one.
Do you know anything about that assassin droid?
No, not much. Except sounds like it was after you. As far as I'm concerned, you handled that pretty well. No more droid, no more problem.
Well, thanks very much. What would make droids go crazy like that?
Yeah, well, you got me there. Look, droids, I don't trust them. That one we fought, some of them are built like that. Others just, well, break. In the head. Sometimes conflicting orders cause it. Give a droid too much data or tell it to do something it can't do, it'll crack their behavior module in half. Others just don't get memory wipes and they start going crazy. Speaking of which, I think that little trash compactor's long overdue. Trust me, droids were made to break. And most of all, they're predictable and stupid.
T3 has really good hearing if he was able to pick that up, or maybe Atton's just really loud. What did you mean about the galaxy map not being much use?
Well, the astrogation system is voice printed and locked down, but that T3 unit is doubling as the astrogation system. You can try to plot a course, but without that T3 unit to perform the calculations, you'd probably plow us into a star.
As long as he doesn't steal the ship, we should be alright.
Why would someone even lock the astrogation system?
Takes all kinds. Maybe someone didn't want anybody taking the ship out of the system, or knowing where the ship had been. Smugglers do it all the time in case the Republic decides to board them. Or so I hear.
Nice save, Atton. Who voice printed the astrogation system?
I have no idea. Previous owner, maybe? Love to get it overhauled, but that's a major job. Besides, the droid will be good enough for now.
Forget it then. Let's just stick to piloting.
So? What happened?
What are you talking about?
Don't give me that. There were plenty of times back on Peragus where a lightsaber would have been helpful. So where's yours?
Exiles aren't allowed to keep their lightsabers. My lightsaber was taken from me by the Council.
Oh yeah? I thought a Jedi was supposed to be married to their lightsaber. Guess I heard wrong. Were you a single hilt or one of those double-bladed Jedi?
I was a traditionalist, just a single hilt.
Figures. It wasn't red, was it?
Both the blade and the crystal were unique.
Yeah? Unique how?
And it actually was unique because we're going to go for a very rare colour. And I always like to go with silver. One, because it's a unique colour for Star Wars lightsabers. And two, because it has my favourite description. Silver. Like the streams in the room of 1,000 fountains on Coruscant.
Must have been something. Sure be nice to have it now. Might make those Sith think twice before coming after us.
It's no matter. It was taken from me long ago.
Alright, forget I said anything. Like I said before, you can check our course on the galaxy map if you want. It's on the wall behind you.
And we gained some light side points for that. So, again, we're still neutral. We're not actually going to get out of this for quite a while. Because, again, I don't know which way I'm going to go in this game yet. But normally, if I was playing this with either or for light side or dark side, I would have at least been around here or here by now. So we're going to finish it here for now because I want to see if there's any more dialogue options in the next part before we go to Telos, and we've had quite a good recording session today, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.